Tonight, more bloodshed in Mexico. Another journalist killed this week.
As we see, that camera person just got
Our job
shot.
is to report the news, not fabricate it.
Correct.
That's the government's
I am
job.
press. I don't care. Keep going.
Okay, I'm down.
Right? There's
I'm not going to
90%
give you.
bullshit.
Can you stay counter to our fake news?
Famous fake news
Is
at
this
this
the
point.
price one needs to pay to speak the truth?
Fake news.
It's always about silencing the
Choice,
target.
but fuck it, I quit.
Hello. Welcome, you guys. Glad to have you guys here tonight. Hi, Debbie Martin. Hi, Miss Nana, Debbie Rogers. Teresa, Richard. How you guys doing tonight? Hit that share button. Get us out there. Of course, we don't got a lot of people in here right now. There's some big stuff I got to talk about. Of course, I had Karen, so I'm going to try to let some more people get in here. Talk about some other things that are happening, though. You know, that spy balloon, Chinese spy balloons that were flying over the U.S., maybe they were preparing for merciless attacks on the U.S., as the Chinese spy balloons now are linked to the hypersonic missile program in China. That's right. Spy balloons are directly linked to the hypersonic missile program to prepare for attacks on U.S. What a great thing to know after, of course, they flew over and found out everything and anything they needed to know. High-altitude spy balloons from China, of course, that we've seen and we know they got taken out, are linked to the National Hypersonic Missile Program, according to a new report. Prepared, of course, by researchers at China's National University of Defense Technology, and was made public in Beijing, just, of course, last month. This information now getting to the U.S., though, of course, as it's been disseminated, the U.S. Air Force shot down the alleged spy balloon from China back in February, which we all remember the incident then. But the spy balloon was used by China for surveillance and gathering faraway targets. Now, the latest findings linking them to something much deadlier, much bigger, as the spy balloons fall under the command of Strategic Force Space, the separate branch of the military in China, charged with espionage, cyber attacks, and electronic warfare, and psychological warfare. All this is being tied in now. The information that we knew they were gathering, and the government said, oh no, they were just weather balloons. We're going to agree with China. Now, of course, China, knowing that they were trying to set up a command that would control the both high-altitude surveillance balloons as well as hypersonic missiles. That's right, the controls on the balloons were actually being tested for long-range communications for hypersonic missiles. They weren't just gathering data, they were actually using them to command the balloons where to go. We were wondering why they were sporadically moving without the wind currents. There was actually control stations on them. Of course, the operation commanded by China, controlled by solar-powered unmanned aerial vehicles with support equipment, I guess using some kind of ionic propulsion system using basically electricity. So the balloons should have been shot down immediately. Now, of course, seeing the information coming out and the U.S. trying to cover it up as quick as possible, it's ridiculous. China can arm and in both nuclear and conventional warheads, these hypersonic missiles that are controlled by the same technology, allowing precision strikes within minutes of launch. And they'll easily avoid our air defense system mid-flight. It's not a question at this point. Hypersonic missiles weapons can attack rocket launch sites, destroying the enemy's ability to fire anti-satellite missiles on civilian satellite networks. That's China's direct approach to this. Their direct counter-response is saying they're doing it for protection of civilian satellites. Okay. We're going to buy that really quick and just keep eating it up because it's all true, you know. China's modernization of their arsenal and new command center is part of an effort of ushering the new age of near-space combat. And let's be honest, they're beating us in every aspect. They're beating us in the Navy. They're beating us in the Air Force now, and the ground forces. Now in Space Command, having 2 fully functioning space stations now, when the U.S. has one that's over 50 years old. And that's a partnership one. This is a big problem. Chinese space station is not tiny by any means. It's almost 4 times the smallest Chinese space station, almost 4 times the size of the International Space Station. Our government needs to be opening their eyes and letting people know this is deepening and disheartening. I mean, the rhetoric, of course, of command and control powers, what's happening? The U.S. and NATO, of course, faces no bounds at this. Russia said it's ready for war with NATO. Yes, it's a dangerous path, but Russia's claiming that directly within 2 minutes ago. Putin said he's ready for war with NATO. Dangerous path, of course. Russian Defense Foreign Minister also claimed that Kremlin is prepared for war with the NATO, our North Atlantic Treaty Organization, as he made this statement in response to questions from journalists probing the likelihood of either peace or escalation between Russia and Ukraine. By extension, the latter Western allies. Of course, Russia's not the only one threatening Western allies. Oh, no, he's definitely not. Ukraine basically attacking Poland, or saying it's going to attack. Kiev is planning an attack on NATO, or Poland, NATO ally right now. Of course, this is a Russian accusation, but Ukraine's planned military propagation against Poland were made, of course, claims today, as, of course, the Ukraine's possible attack against Poland has put Russia in a bad light, saying officials possibly attack could come in the event of a decline in Western support for Kiev. So we're watching this, of course, as Zelensky pleads Ukrainian army not to lose the war against Russia. Yeah, that's right. Beg you please, Zelensky says, as he's saying, not to lose the war against Russia. Begging soldiers to win, not to waste their initiative, and to go on and make forward the war. This is ridiculous. Watching this stuff unfold and not hearing it in public news here in the U.S. is ridiculous. And these aren't even big concerns. There's much bigger concerns happening, and I'm sure you read the headline to this when you came in. The latest outbreak of this virus that started in Russia less than 2 weeks ago is here in the U.S. It's official now, whether politics are calling it or the news stations are projecting it. The cases of pneumonia and bronchitis-like diseases that are being misdiagnosed as both at this point have become alarmingly high in the last 2 days. Of course, a lot of questions are on the outbreak. We know the disease did not start in China. We know China's being hit very hard with it right now. A new novel virus emerging. The wave of respiratory disease hitting China is more likely a return of seasonal illnesses, as according to what Chinese government is trying to say, that the country suppressed for prolonged COVID lockdowns, than another pandemic threat. But children are flooding hospitals now in the same way they did in the U.S. a year ago. Infectious disease experts are watching this closely as this virus took hold in a small town in Russia less than 2 weeks ago. Now China's getting hit hard and fast with a virus that they say it might be pneumonia, test negative for that, test negative for every bronchitis strain that could be. This is serious. Lockdown and other pandemic precautions to protect people are not far away. I'm telling you, this is happening. And I said it would happen by the end of the year. It is happening. And it did not start in China. This did not start in China. I want to repeat. This was in a remote town in Russia, in Siberia, Russia, not even a populated or highly populated area where this virus started at. It's highly infectious, and it's hitting people fast and swift, ending up in the hospital, from elderly to young children. The most dangerous to kids, I'm going to say that, young are the most, of course, inept to this virus, and it's hitting them the hardest. Yes, everybody gets it. The problem is with kids, pneumonia or any kind of backup of fluid in the lungs is hard to treat. That's where the biggest problem is facing right now. The pandemic that started nearly 4 years ago triggered anxiety about a new pathogen again, causing global outbreak. But this is global now. The U.S. is seeing similar outbreaks right now as we speak, after ending the formal pandemic precautions. Let's be honest. We're not seeing the flu. We're not seeing COVID. We're not seeing RSV like it was. We're seeing a pneumonia-like virus, or tuberculosis or bronchitis-like virus, not knowing what it actually is. CDC is looking into it, so is WHO at this point. Still no information from immunologists around the globe as they look into this virus. This is not political at this point. This is a real thing. And I think it's something to do with us trying to poison other people, but I can't get into that. That's my opinion, and opinion so far is facts, let's be honest. The testing so far isn't showing a novel virus at play. It's not showing any identification of any virus as known virus, so we shouldn't pose total chaos on this, but let's be honest, we know what's going to happen. We've seen the bills and the laws being passed in recent months. I mean, if nobody paid attention to what happened in New York just weeks ago, or about 2 weeks ago, when their bill that nobody thought would get actually past the courts, you know, they're 213. You guys ever pay attention to that? I'm not sure if you were or not. But 213 did get past the courts. Rule Truth 213 did pass the courts. That was just a couple weeks ago when it got tried. Let's see the exact date on that. November 21st. Rule 213, isolating quarantine procedures, gives the state of New York, and of course this federally now, the ability to come in your home, take you away for quarantine without notice, or for any viral infections they deem necessary. You won't have an option to fight. No court dates, nothing. The rule has no age limit. They can keep you as long as they like. The rule allows them to treat you as they see fit, including using methods that are still in testing. That's right. This is craziness unfolding as the federal courts now approve this. It's been tested now. People need to realize what's happening, because it's isolating and quarantine procedures that, of course, came forward, clearly stating that they can do what they want, whenever they want. And if you want to pull up that document, of course, I will post it on our page, so you can share it with friends and family. You want to go to page 8 to actually see the problem with this, because I'm going to read this. Page 8, paragraph 3. For the purposes of isolation orders, isolation locations may include home isolation, such as residence, or temporary housing locations that the public health authorities issue in order to determine appropriate. That's right. They can move you to a temporary housing location and internment camp that the public health authorities issued order determines. That's right. So they issue an order stating if you're a public health risk because you didn't take a vaccine, they can put you in an internment camp. This has been through the courts already. the courts in New York has approved it. Federally, there's several laws being put in place. It's a fact. It's sad. An automatic incarceration in a lab rat for the United States government. Any state health commissioner can issue these at any time, where symptoms or conditions indicate that medical care and in general hospitals expected to be required or isolation from locations shall be deemed. So if they want to isolate you from a location because you're a public health risk, they can put you in temporary housing location that they issue an order that's appropriate. The government has no oversight in this. You have no way to there's no regress. There's no suing them for this. This is officially law. This is consistent with due process of law according to the Supreme Court of New York as of the 21st. As of the 21st, this is officially law. And many other states, of course, pushing the same thing. It is ridiculous. I think people need to hear it because with this new novel virus hitting the U.S. in huge numbers, the high risk of global spread is here. The U.S. is already getting hit within 2 weeks of this virus being found out or being seen. They still don't know what it is. They know it's a respiratory infection. It is not COVID. It is nothing COVID-like. It is a pneumonia-like virus. That's the only likeness of COVID it has. But it's not pneumonia. They've been testing for pneumonia. I'm sure a lot of people that have been sick lately. And if you've been sick, they keep saying one thing another way. Or, oh, it's this. And then you get tested for that. It's not that. And then they test you for something else. They can't find out what it is. Children are increasing hospital surge capacities, especially for children, are the biggest problem. Most children in hospital in the U.S. run at capacity even at good times, during good survivability of the economy. The economy is down. Supply chains are falling apart. They don't know where this virus came from. That's all I'm going to say. They know people aren't going to stand for it. They expect it. Yeah. Page 8, paragraph 3 is what they built all the camps for. Be prepared. At this time, literally nobody knows what happened with this virus. It came from a small town in Russia, in Siberia, Russia, which, if you guys understand, it's not like the autocracy Russia that you see in Moscow. It is much different than that. It's more like going to Alaska and going to a rural village in Alaska. That's how a lot of those people live, and that's where this virus came from. So we're going to keep watching this. While viruses are mainly being blamed for China's outbreak, we have other viruses like mycoplasma spreading as well, which is a new bacteria. It's not a virus, which is also causing mild lung infections at the same time as this serious disease that's outbreaking. Now, this also causes especially big problems for young children requiring hospitalization. So this is going to be a double attack on the people, let's be honest. This mycoplasma can lead to asthma attacks, brain swelling, and even kidney dysfunction. It's rarely fatal. The problem is in children, this is a huge, huge impact. And of course, all this happening at the same time as, of course, the Middle East decides to boycott the U.S. Not a surprise. The list of boycotted products, not just in the Middle East, but China, India as well, and more countries joining, as the impact, of course, with the Israel and Hamas war going on. Middle East and a lot of countries joining this boycott pact, causing notable impacts on the economy. And it's hitting us. It's hitting U.S. hard, and whether they want to admit it or not. And of course, the numbers will show that. Yeah, Madison will stop it, I think. We're watching this all happen, knowing that what's happening with the Middle East starting this boycott, and of course, many countries joining on to boycott U.S. goods from Israel, goods from the NATO allies, as they, of course, supply this war. Brands being majorly affected are cosmetics and even HP, Nestle, Coca-Cola, Eden Springs, SodaStream, Starbucks, McDonald's, Simmons, AXA, Puma. Those are just the beginning of companies being affected. And if you notice Nestle and Pepsi being on that list, and Keter and Strauss, those are major manufacturers that produce 90% of the goods you see on the market. Those goods aren't being sold. The price here goes up at home, and of course it's expected to. Long lines of the gas pumps are likely, as the Middle East crisis is disrupting oil supplies, and prices are going up as OPEC or Saudi Arabia decides to cut oil production again. The potential of a disruption of global oil supplies and pushing prices even higher than what's expected at this point, and a repeat of the catastrophic price hikes and long lines at the gasoline pumps that we've seen during or beginning of Biden era aren't a stretch at this point. Cutbacks in oil productions from Saudi Arabia and Russia are expected. Stronger demand from China, as of course they're all preparing for a war. Brent crude may be down to $93 a barrel. I mean, come on, this is happening, people. Wake up. We got bio attacks, cyber attacks, everything. All happening at once. Yeah, and not just magazines to read. Let me make this clear. And people don't understand this. Even if you do not know how to garden, even if you do not know how to hunt, even if you do not know how to can, even if you do not know how to preserve meat, there are books that teach you all of that in very short order. It can walk you through the steps and teach you how to survive on your own when it comes to time. And those are books to have on your shelf, whether you read them or not. They might cost $5, but guess what? That's a $5 investment that's going to last you a much longer time than any stockpile you can gather. If you are prepared and know how to produce your own goods and feed yourself and feed your family without having to go to the grocery store because you had a little bit of knowledge, that is going to last you 100 times fold of stockpiling anything else you can imagine. Stockpiles only last for a temporary amount of time. They're only there for the immediate surge of transition. The long term is knowledge. It's getting the books, getting the information. Learn how to ferment veggies. It's not hard. Fermenting veggies, I've been doing it for years. I make my own sauerkraut. I keep it bare. It's good. Can't pass that up. Even if you think you're an American that can't be touched by anything, what's a $5 book sitting on your shelf going to hurt? Honestly, buy a simple survival book for your area that has native plants and stuff you can eat and teaches you basic survival. They're around $5 most local zones. I'm not going to recommend a single book because I think that's ridiculous. I think that you as people could understand this and go with what you need. I mean, what's happening is crazy. What's unfolding in real life as we watch is utterly crazy. Yeah, everyone listening, it's $5 investment that is worth every penny. And you don't even have to spend $5. I'll tell you what. If you have a tablet, you can go on a public library site and you can download 90% of those books. Yes, tablets will have to be charged, but guess what? Even if your car doesn't run, the battery in your car will charge that tablet probably 100 times before the battery's dead. You'll have plenty of time to read that book and know it by heart. So download it. It's a small file that you're storing on your tablet. It's not even taking up room. It didn't cost you any money, but it's there as a security blanket in the long run. It's something you can lean back on, something you know you have, and something you can prepare for. I mean, China flying spy balloons for hypersonic nuclear weapons. Now we're talking about maybe Iran having hypersonic nuclear weapons, Russia having hypersonic nuclear weapons. Oh, wait, we don't even have hypersonic nuclear weapons because the ones we did test were a positive test that came out. course, the next test after that showed big problems with it. Not a surprise. So get ready for long lines and big problems as boycotts happen throughout the US and another pandemic rains down upon us. I hate to say it, but people need to know what's happening. You need to wake up, open up your eyes, and be prepared as this all unfolds. Yeah. Most regional books, like if you go to even a public library and you type in your region, a survival handbook, they'll teach you what plants are edible, what plants are poisonous, what weeds, can make awesome salads. I say buy a book too, Teresa. I'm just saying, in no short order, if you can't afford to buy a book, you have a phone in your hand that is obviously able to go on the internet because you're watching us right now. You don't even need to buy seeds. I mean, yes, having seed stockpiles and having stockpiles of goods is great. But that survival book will last you 100-fold of anything you can purchase besides that. I am saying this out of the bottom of my heart for people to understand. This is important. You need to be ready. We don't know what the future holds. Of course, watching this is just crazy at this point. Every day, something new is happening. If you're not prepared, you're behind the times. But God bless you guys. God bless America. Of course, we'll be live tomorrow night with more news. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't drink or eat after anybody else. Do not gather in small groups or groups of people at work. I'm saying this not to make you panic because a mask isn't going to help. But stay healthy. Stay healthy. God bless you guys. God bless America at this point. And wish us all luck as we, of course, follow through with what's happening and try to keep up to date. God bless you all. God bless America, and good night.